So we're going to wait on Maricopa County and Philly and Atlanta. A lot of those absentee ballots still coming in, being counted. But to what degree does the market take into account new challenges from the Trump campaign, the likes of which we're seeing even as we speak?
Well, I think that people don't mind anything that involves a court. There's an undercurrent, and I think you go through Manhattan, I did last night, where you just want to own Louisiana Pacific because there's so much plywood. But be careful, they have other businesses that aren't doing as well. And I look at it, and I just say, I don't want insurrection. I don't want craziness. I don't want military. And these are actually in the minds of a lot of people. Now, I'm sure that there are other people who are saying, that's nuts. It's what are you worried about? But I think as long as it's just going to courts, the president complaining to a court, a judge saying that it's right or wrong, David, I got to tell you, I feel like that's democracy, sloppy democracy in action. I'll take it versus the
right,
opposite.
But you don't want to make baseless claims based on absolutely nothing. It's one thing to say you want to recount, as will be the case in Wisconsin, and is completely allowed, expected in some ways when a vote is, 20,000, I think, is what the Biden margin of victory was there. It's another thing to make baseless claims about things and
but we have judges
videos on Twitter that are completely made up and all sorts of different things like that, Jim. Again, to your point, it may end up in the courts, but that isn't necessarily a great thing.
No, but we have a judiciary that's not made up of a bunch of hacks. They actually, for the most part, want to follow the law.
Right.
I have found respect for so far, the few adjudications I've seen are you crazy? That's not a good case. I mean, in other words, they're not going to prolong it. Right. I don't see, Carl, I actually think we're out of this. I am actually betting that we're out of this tomorrow.
By tomorrow?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Really
we'll find out. I mean, yeah, we'll see with how much progress we get in the count today. So the market, in your view, when the president said, to David's point yesterday, we have claimed for electoral vote purposes the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I mean, market didn't even blanch.
Well, I think the market's looking at a couple of things. One is it's looking at a government that will have be less erratic, but will get us a stimulus plan. You have to get past the election. We need to get past this thing so bad that we're even accepting that it's passed with quotation marks. We're just not. We feel there's closure. And I know the president might want to do this and that, and we might want to not have it be down to 5 votes or something in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But, David, I feel that there's closure coming, and that's part of the rally.
Right. No, I get it. And again, it goes back to the idea that investors seem to believe we're going to have divided government. We're going to have a Senate controlled by the Republicans. We're going to have a Democratic president. And that is the best thing for the markets. And, Carl, history shows, in fact, it often is the best things in terms of the performance for the S&P. And by the way, yes, the president, we know his business career. We followed him closely through years. He ends up in the courts on pretty much everything.
Yes.
That's kind of his go-to.
Right.
And so it's not unexpected. Many people have been anticipating it, which is why they have an army of lawyers on both sides ready to potentially fight this out if it comes to that. But, Carl, if, in fact, we get a Georgia count that goes towards Biden, if we get Pennsylvania, as many expect it may, as you start to see the heavier concentrations of Democratic votes come in from the mailed-in ballots, it may be harder to make any sort of a case, one would expect, if Biden is able to pad that potential lead well past 270 electoral votes.
But, Carl, one of the things that I talked to a lot of people in the last 48 hours about what's going on, a lot of very big money managers, but also a lot of people who are vociferous in their views on the two candidates. And I think it's an interesting mix that you could have such hatred on both sides, and they produce nirvana for the stock market. And I think that's really hard for people to get their heads around. Like, how could you have this vicious witch's brew get together and produce unbelievable results? And the answer is that because we hate the government. We want nothing to do with the government. This government sounds like it's going to be even more ineffectual, less mercurial, and it'll throw money at people because we have a lot of people unemployed, and it all comes back to COVID.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.